So, this is my final project for Shaping School Culture on leadership, synthesis, and recommendation for positive school culture. This semester, I have really enjoyed the readings from this class, specifically Khalifa. I thought it was a great book and very engaging. So, going forward, there are many different strategies that I plan to take from this course and apply when I become a school leader. One of the major concepts that I've learned from this class and in Dr. Von Dolen's class is about culturally responsive school leadership. Khalifa et al. 2016 stated, because minoritized students have been disadvantaged by historically oppressive structures, and because educators and schools have been intentionally or unintentionally complicit in reproducing this oppression, culturally responsive school leaders have a principled moral responsibility to counter this oppression. Page 1275. As an aspiring school leader, culturally responsive school leadership for me requires creating an environment that is welcoming, inclusive, and nurturing to all students and staff in my building. To encounter this oppression, I must be aware of my own implicit biases to help my teachers become more self-aware of how their implicit biases may lead to subjective disciplinary actions, particularly towards minority students. I will also need to provide access to culturally responsive teacher training programs, encourage student-centered classroom approaches, and adapt my leadership style to meet the needs of my team. We as individuals must first examine our own positionalities and implicit biases to understand why we act the way we do and what values and beliefs govern our actions in the classroom. As an aspiring school leader during my first faculty meeting, I will challenge staff to do some critical self-reflection and think about their own implicit biases and positionalities and how that might play into how we perceive classroom behaviors and discipline. Milner et al. 2019 argued effective teachers constantly engage in reflection. Page 59. In my experience as a special education teacher, students who felt seen, loved, and respected were more willing to engage in learning than they were with their general education teachers who didn't take the time to get to know them. I asked students about their family, their pets, their hobbies, and weekend activities, and I even would show up and go to their soccer games if they asked me to join. Simple gestures like this help create a safe, comfortable classroom environment. Milner et al. 2019 explained that caring learning environments are spaces where all students feel fully seen, heard, respected, and cared for. Page 97. As a leader, I will need to coach teachers who disproportionately refer students for disciplinary actions or to special education services and provide them with strategies to create better, more equitable learning environments. An important strategy emphasized throughout this course is building relationships. As a behavior specialist, I tell teachers to be intentional about knowing their students. It's imperative that teachers know what precipitating factors students are dealing with, such as trauma, food insecurities, getting inadequate sleep the night before, and physical and emotional abuse. It's also important for teachers to foster relationships with students by getting to know them, asking about their families, asking about their hobbies, or their extracurricular activities. From my experience, when students feel you're invested in their well-being and their education, they work harder and behave better for you. E. Skinner and Belmont, 1993, as cited by Thapa et al., 2013, stated, when teachers support and interact positively with students, then students are more likely to be engaged and behave appropriately. Pages 363 through 364. As a leader, I will encourage my teachers to do the same. For teachers having a difficult time connecting with students exhibiting challenging behaviors, I will encourage them to do a 2x10 strategy. This is where they take 2 minutes every day for 10 days to get to know their students by talking about anything that's not school related. This simple activity can help build rapport with students. Teachers play a vital role in determining whether students feel a sense of belonging in the school community. When students feel the teachers care for them, they feel welcomed in the classroom and safe, then students are more engaged in lessons and teachers can spend less time dealing with behavioral issues. According to Osterman 2000, teacher support has the most direct impact on student engagement. How students feel about the school and their coursework is in large measure determined by the quality of the relationship they have with their teachers in specific classes, pages 21 through 22. Another important concept throughout this course is fostering a positive school climate. Caring learning environments are spaces where all students feel fully seen, heard, respected, and cared for. Milner et al., 2019, page 97. As a future leader, I will set high and clear expectations for all of my students and my staff. I will establish a caring, welcoming, and overall positive school environment where everyone feels safe and diversity is welcomed. I will also encourage my teachers to foster positive relationships with the families and the community. It is also extremely important that we meet students where they are. We have to remove any deficit ideology and think about how we can change the environment to meet the needs of our students. According to Milner et al., 2019, teachers who use positive framing in their classrooms are party starters, page 81. I've experienced too many negative teachers in my time as an educator. As a future leader, I will set the tone and establish my expectations of teachers and staff in the building. As adults, we don't want to be corrected in front of our peers, and neither do students. For most of us, we want to go to work where the atmosphere is positive and our colleagues are friendly and fun. This is also the case for our students. When teachers hype up the lesson and make it fun and engaging, students want to be there. The school where my temporary office is currently located, the principal is a party starter. Dr. Bradley is always doing something where she's either dressed up as a giant elf on the shelf and she's propped up somewhere in the school, or she's sitting on top of the marquee in the car rider line, or she's racing on a tricycle with the SRO down the hallway as students scream in excitement. Both students and her staff want to be there. They enjoy going to work and school every day. Milner et al., 2019, emphasized that warm demanders foster a caring space for their students to struggle, push back, get upset, and express the full range of emotions. Page 111. As I mentioned before, I will set high expectations of both my staff and our students. Every student has strengths and something to contribute to the class and to society. Culturally responsive school leadership, building positive relationships, and fostering positive school climate and culture also reinforce one another. Together, they form the foundation of a productive and supportive school environment. When leaders are culturally responsive, they set the tone of respect that fosters positive relationships and the overall school culture. Both students and staff then feel valued. When students feel connected to teachers and peers, they are more willing to engage and participate in class. Positive relationships promote a positive school culture. How people treat each other becomes the norm. Culturally responsive leadership builds trust and equity. Positive relationships create a sense of belongingness. Positive school climate and culture cultivates academic success. Distributed leadership is an effective way to build staff capacity, allowing teachers to take on more meaningful roles. It also makes staff feel valued, encourages collaboration, and is a great way to utilize teacher influencers in the school who can mobilize others to adopt initiatives. My first year as a school leader, I don't plan to make any major changes. My goal is to observe everything that's happening in my school, from staff dynamics to school culture. During this time, I will find my people, and if I don't find my people, I need to be very strategic when hiring to make sure that we find a candidate whose strengths are our deficits. When students are sent out of the classroom, they miss instruction, increasing their gap in learning and placing them at risk for falling behind their peers. Removing students can also cause stigmatization, as other teachers and students may develop negative perceptions of them. Milner et al. 2019 stated, instead of removing and excluding students from their educational setting as punishment, a restorative discipline approach supports students coming to terms with how their actions may have affected others, taking responsibility for these actions, and continuing to learn and grow. Page 133. According to Milner et al. 2019, critical self-reflection should include consideration of teachers' perspectives, mindsets, and beliefs, particularly as they shape the classroom management. Page 62. Critical self-reflection is essential if we want to improve our practices, reflecting on what worked and what didn't work. Critical self-reflection also makes classrooms more equitable and can prevent unfair treatment of marginalized students. As I mentioned earlier, it's definitely my goal to make sure that I reflect in critical self-reflection as well as my teachers and my staff. As I mentioned earlier, culturally responsive school leadership, building positive relationships, and fostering positive school culture all reinforce one another. When students feel connected to their teachers and their peers, they are more willing to engage, collaborate, and participate in class. Positive relationships promote a positive school culture. Respect is mutual between teachers and students and peers, school and home, and school and community. Here are 3 actionable recommendations that I hope to implement. One, it would be to increase positive communication with families. I will encourage my teachers to make at least 3 positive phone calls or send emails home each week just praising their students. The second would be recognizing positive behaviors at school, whether this is through shout outs during the morning announcements or giving specific positive praise during class. And the last would be student, parent, and community voice, encouraging my school stakeholders to participate in school improvement team meetings and just the decision-making process. I think this overall will help to make it a positive school culture and a positive environment to work in. Thank you.